At the time of the Norman invasion, this was Anglo-Saxon England. It was an extension of what they called Wessex. It was a different set of people that had actually moved in after the Roman invasion. The traditional tribe that occupied Devon, Cornwall and parts of Somerset and Dorset were the Dumnonian Celtic tribe. After the Roman Empire came to an end and the Romans left Britain in around 410 and they abandoned their great cities, the one we actually know of in Devon, obviously Isca Dominorium, which we know as Exeter. So the Romans left. There's a big debate whether they were expelled or whether they just went back to defend Rome. And then it comes a period called the Dark Ages. We don't call it that anymore, but it was called the Dark Ages basically because we didn't know an awful lot. We're finding much more about that period after the Romans left and before the Anglo-Saxons came in. The Anglo-Saxons were part of this great folk movement across the whole of Europe. So, a folk movement that effectively destroyed the Roman Empire. So you had great numbers of tribes that were coming, and our part of that folk movement, that Volkerwanderung as they called it, was the Anglo-Saxon incursion into England. Started in the southeast. Small numbers originally started coming, and it transformed that old Romano-British Celtic society. So we've got Essex, which is the kingdom of the East Saxons, Wessex, which is the West Saxons, and gradually from around 660 AD, we have the Saxons, the Anglo-Saxons, which is a sort of mixture of tribes, a sort of Germanic tribes from Northern Europe, gradually sort of moving across the southwest and further north. What that did was then we originally thought that, and this was a very traditional belief, that the Anglo-Saxons exterminated the sort of local Celtic tribes, or they pushed them into Cornwall. Or some of those tribes people moved into northern France as sort of refugees, which is where you get Brittany from, the land of the Britons. And there's still a smaller area of northern France called Domney, named after that original sort of Devonshire and Cornish tribe. We're finding new things out all the time. We don't have an awful lot of records of that period. We can look at place names. Some names are obviously still Celtic. Brixham sounds as though it's probably still Celtic. Paynton sounds Anglo-Saxon. So the idea was that the Anglo-Saxons moved in, moved everybody up. However, as we find new evidence, and the greatest new evidence we found over the last few years is through DNA. And we find that the ethnicity of Devon and Cornwall is different from Dorset and Somerset and the rest of the country. So it looks as though this area of Devon and of Cornwall still has a strong ethnic representation of that old Celtic Dumnonian tribe. And so it looks as though the Anglo-Saxon came in, took over some of the positions of power, but you still have those ethnic Celtic tribes people. And one of the most intriguing things, and one of the reasons we're here in the South Hams today, is that right up into the Middle Ages, this area was still apparently speaking some kind of Celtic language.